Want to 10x your growth? Discover how only 3 growth hacks in 10 days can change everything. Welcome to the 10-Day Growth Hacking Challenge with Nader Sabri. Today we are here with Klaim, Kareem, and Ahmed, who run this absolutely amazing data-rich company that is solving a very important problem that the regular patient that goes to a hospital would not see or feel, but the ability to create liquidity between all the players so that all the funding goes into place, which they call is revenue cycle management, a very unique thing that they run with 9 million data points, and nobody else does what they do. As before we get started for this challenge, if you want to know more information about Klaim, click below. If you want to hear the story behind Klaim, go back to the kickoff video where you can get more information. They've also recently won an award, congratulations, from KPMG as one of the top tech firms in the UAE. As we get started, for those tuning in, this is based on the growth thinking methodology book. If you want to do what we're doing here in the challenge, guys, welcome aboard. How are you doing today?
Hi, Nader, and thanks for having us. We're doing fantastic and, overwhelmed with work.
Awesome. Well, you're in an interesting situation. Like you've just got a very interesting award, and you're actively fundraising and have secured funds, which is a great thing from a very reputable source. Recently, which I think is a great thing for Klaim, and Klaim plays such a really important role. I think the role of Klaim in the healthcare sector should be better known, because I think it's something a lot of people don't know about, at least those even outside the healthcare sector. I think even those within the healthcare sector may not be aware of this problem that you're solving unless they're very deep in that particular part that you're tackling at the moment. So here we are today. So we finished Growth Hack 1. We're moving on to Growth Hack 2 here today. In the first Growth Hack, we were looking at essentially a credit rating system that helps them develop a marketplace where they are able to optimize the match between debt and the placement of the debt with healthcare facilities. Today, we're going to be talking about hack number 2. Guys, let's get cracking. Tell me about hack number 2 and what has happened. I know there's a bit of a pivot, which is normal, happens all the time, and I think our audience loves watching that, how changes happen and the reasons why they happen. I'll kick it over to you, Kareem. Go for it. Take the floor.
So thanks, Nader. The hack number 2 is our ability to bring in debt to match the pace at which we are we have demand from the provider side. So we need to match that growth with the ability to attract the debt on the supply side.
Excellent. So how are you guys going about the hacking the debt in itself? So you need to get out there. I know that you're actively already doing it, but what are some of the growth hacks that you're looking to put in place to deal with this challenge at the moment?
So first of all is I think we have a multi-channel strategy. So it includes, us talking directly to people, having advisors talking to people on our behalf, talking to investors, and then within the people that we're talking to investors that have invested in private debt in the region or elsewhere, or speaking also to companies that have been doing sort of private lending in Europe that can introduce us to other European debt investors. So we are tackling this on several fronts. We are also looking at crowdfunding platforms in UAE and Saudi, but there's just so much we can tackle at once.
Are there any major debt reports that go out where the industry is being tracked in the sense of like debt opportunities? Are you familiar with anything like that exists? I'm sure there is, but it's just being familiar with where to go for that.
I mean, there is a fund called the debt fund. There is the Emirates Development Bank. There are pockets of government money available for SME lending. I think what we need to do is list all of these pockets of money that are available for SME lending. We're just like a conduit to lend that money in a not lend the money, but deploy that capital into SMEs in a proper way. Yep. We just need to be focused on that and tackling those.
Yeah. So what I mean is are there any kind of media outlets that specialize in covering the debt industry, or it could be like, the Wall Street Journal has a report that's an annual report on debt. I don't know if such a thing exists, but I'm sure there must be somewhere in the industry where you're able to tap into the debt market by being able to get at least some awareness, or at least getting the spotlight onto you guys to understand how big this opportunity is. Have you looked at anything like that, or are familiar with anything that may exist like this?
No, I mean, there are more and more talks and hypes around private debt globally, but
Absolutely.
we have to look into it from a Middle East perspective, because then, lending in the Middle East, and again, we're not necessarily doing lending, but I would say would categorize it in sort of the same family. We the basically the opportunities are not that many. So unless you are a more established business, it will become a bit easy. It will become a bit more difficult for you to raise that debt. So, but we are
Yeah.
talking to banks. They seem to be very excited about adopting a new innovative ideas. So surprisingly, there are one or two banks that are very keen to knowing more about this. But it will take time. It's not something that can be activated immediately, but it's more sort of a 6 month project than in like a
It's going to take some
1 month
time.
project.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
it's good that you're getting those kinds of signals where at least more conservative institutions are showing interest, at least in something that's innovative, is what you guys are doing. And I'm glad you classified it as that, because what you are doing is very innovative. And the challenge with innovative is you're breaking so many boundaries, and you don't fit in most people's definitions of what would be regular. And that becomes a challenge in itself. But the opportunities and the rewards that come out of taking such risk and with using such innovation is phenomenal. And I think that's the narrative or the story that's really important for us to look at how to growth hack, because I think people in debt markets, regardless of where they may be in the world, depending of course on the channels and how they may invest in you and your debt market, or your channel, I think there'll be a lot of interest in some very unique areas who may be interested in tapping into other markets, not just locally. This might be a little bit far-fetched in the sense of timing, because I know you keep talking about kind of timelines, and you want to work locally as good as possible, as well as I think like the local institutions, especially because many of them are either government, semi-government related, or have some kind of a government component, or whether direct or indirect. And I think it's going to be really important to tap into those networks, which you've rightly already pointed out. So I think that's going to be really, really important. So back, back to it. I mean, what are some of the hacks that you want to put in place to tap into that and make it happen? I know that you're kind of not looking at it as a hack. You're looking at it as like, dude, this is just something that just got to get done. But with anything that needs to get done, there's always some kind of a growth hack that can be put in place. I've always been, my intuition always tells me with your specific case, awareness is really important, that people know that Klaim exists, and that Klaim, of course, with the data that you collect, you're extremely data rich, and I think that's your superpower, and you got to flex that muscle where needed. Yeah, that's at least from my side.
What are the things that can be done? First of all, is tackling this in a methodical manner. So there are a lot of names that need to be contacted, looking at, through the network, who has access to them, who can make warm introductions, target them one by one, having that conversation with them, going through presentation, showing them the data, showing them the evidence. So, it's a job on its own. I don't think it's necessarily just a hack to test the water.
Absolutely,
it's like
yeah.
a process that needs to go through. We need to go through.
Yeah.
Then and then maybe perhaps the hack would be, okay, are private investors responding to this better than banks, or are banks responding better than private investors? So and then based on that, you will focus your energy into the channel that's going to bring you the best results.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that multi-channel approach is going to be crucial to your overall success, short-term, mid-term, long-term, collectively. And I think finding a hack on how to work with the multiple channels, it's going to be exhausting though. As you can imagine, you already know this, you're probably not sleeping much at all already with where you stand at the moment. But, being able to find ways to accelerate that process to reach as many multiple channels as you can as quickly as possible is going to be crucial. Okay, well, that's pretty cool. So now, since, Hack 2 is about fundraising, I'm assuming that Hack 3 will be an extension of Hack 2. Is that correct?
I think no. I think hack tree would be specifically for. I would classify this into two buckets: institutional investors and then more of a high net worth individual investors. So I would say hack two would be institutional investors, and hack tree would be the investors, the crowdfunding or retail investor, because that is something else. You need to have a technology that can connect to and offer this investment product to a broader audience that is less sophisticated, that maybe are looking also for deploying a bit less of money, but the volume is bigger. So that would require teaming up with the right partners, having the right legal documentation in place, and doing marketing in the right channel. So I would carve it out and treat it as a separate hack.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that's a smart idea. Yeah, breaking things down into smaller components is always the best way to go. So I think what we'll do is we'll leave it at that, and we'll continue with hack number 3. It'll have implications on hack number 2 anyways, but I think let's move on to the next segment, which is the hack number 3. I know what you're working on is a bit complicated, and it's a little, more in depth than it seems when we look at it at the surface. So I think that's the best way to go about it. So I think let's move on to hack number 3, guys, which is basically just carving it out and cutting it into the 2 segments. I think it's a very wise idea. Excellent. Okay, that's it. So for those tuning in who want more information about Klaim, go below. If you want to hear about the story about Klaim, head over to the kickoff video. We look forward to meeting Kareem and Ahmed and the remaining of the team in hack number 3, which is an extension hack number 2, but into a different segment, which is a very clever way of doing it, to basically putting in the efforts where they count the most. We'll see you guys in the next video in hack number 3.